And welcome to the Daily Space Weather. Smasho here coming at you from the Smash News Network, the busted name in news. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. What evil lurks in the heart of the sun? The quote evil and quote of condensed matter? I'm not sure, but in any case, some interesting theories about what stars are made of, occasionally being discussed on the channel. This is the Daily Space Weather. That's what's going on the northeastern limb. And let's go around the horn. We've got an active sunspot up there. We've got an active sunspot setting in the northwestern limb. Well-defined coronal hole here in the north. Some crown prominences around both solar polar regions. A couple of M-class flares in the past couple of days. Here's a southeastern limb and a bunch of filamentary activity kicking off down there. And a new beta-gamma class sunspot group rising here in the southeast. Also, you'll see this crown prominence down here at the south solar polar region. That is all interesting activity indeed. As we bring you the most detailed space weather and imagery of the sun you'll find anywhere in the known universe. So here's yesterday plus today in your SDO continuum wavelengths. Northern groups are mostly stable here over the past day. Again, a new southern group you can see rising there in the southeast, right down here. And before we take a brief moment to look at things like volcanoes and earthquakes, take a moment to support the channel. Press like, subscribe, share, etc. Leave a comment. Become a member of the Smash team if you'd like to support the content. If you enjoy the videos and prefer to see them continue to exist, remain publicly visible and free for all to view, join us at the Smash team. Become a Smash team member at the gold or silver level. The best value is the annual paid-up subscription level. Smashomash.com/Smash team. We are still on Patreon as well, so do yourself a favor and us. Give Smash staff a raise and become a member of the Smash team. Here's a volcanic rundown. Shivaluch is erupting in an explosive fashion and producing a 15,000-foot plume of volcanic ash over the Kamchatka Peninsula. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico, flight level 200 over Popocatépetl. We got about a 16,000-foot ash plume over Fuego as it's been engaging in some Vulcanian and Strombolian activity. Near continuous weak to moderate eruptions there. Flight level 160 over Guatemala from Fuego. Flight level 200 over Ecuador from Sangay as it explodes. Also Revenador exploding. Flight level 140. It's a 14,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. The lava flow in the northeastern flank remains active, and Saab and Kaya were unable to detect whether or not it's erupting. If you go to Peru for a volcanic vacation, leave your vault pole at home. Do not pole vault the caldera. Next, looking at earthquakes over the past 24. Seismic activity low here at the moment. No major quakes. Let's scroll up the list and see what's been shaken on a global basis. We'll report quakes over a 5 magnitude, such as this one right here, occurring in western Chile there, right on the west coast of South America. That was a 5.1 at 23:43 last night Universal Time. Also, Indonesia had a 5.0. That was at 3:49 this morning on December 28th. Also, Russia had a 5.2. And let's continue on, because it's time to get back to space. So this is where we started out. This is the composite imagery that we showed earlier, zoomed in. This is 171 plus 304 angstroms. And let's subtract the ionized helium and just leave the 171 angstroms. There you go. It is the house favorite wavelength. We've got at least 3 regions that could produce major flares. We'll get to that here momentarily as well. Radio flux currently at 150 solar flux units, at least last I checked. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux is the most proportional data set to sunspot number. Here's the 1-year chart to put it in context. You can see how directly proportional. Those two things are, the red line is the sunspot number, the black line is the radio flux number. Space weather enthusiast dashboard here, not forecasting any space weather storms or geomagnetic unrest conditions. I would tend to agree. We'll talk about coronal mass ejections later in the video. At the moment, the coast is clear. There is a lot of empty space between the Earth and Sun. Next, KP index currently at only 1.67. It's geomagnetically calm conditions. And let's see what that looks like from Earth's magnetic moment from space. So here are the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Earth's magnetic moment from space. So that's depicting magnetohydrodynamic pressure. The units are nanopascals. It's the last 4 hours. And it looks like some variations here recently happening in the solar wind data. We'll take a look at that here after we look at ground magnetic perturbations. This is 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And thanks for leaving a comment, Tin Man 1057. Good morning to you as well. This imagery shows nanotesla magnetic flux density. Again, it is a geomagnetically calm condition here at the moment. Let's move to the real-time solar wind, as we expect to see some recent variations in it. So keep in mind we are switching instruments here, so that's part of the reason why you're seeing these rapid shifts. That is the shift from the Discover back to the ACE and back to the Discover. The ACE is showing solar wind density at only about 1 proton per cubic centimeter. The Discover is showing like 10 protons per cubic centimeter. So that's the current situation, just under 10 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. Solar wind speed still elevated here as a coronal hole high-speed stream continues at 516 kilometers per second. Continuing on to magnetic data, there are your GOES magnetometers. The GOES magnetometers are at about 22,000 miles of altitude. And let's take a look at some more magnetic data here. These are ground-based. These data are from ground-based systems, 51 of which are located on Earth, also one on stereo A here at Lagrange 5 and stereo B here at Lagrange 4. And there is a South Pole current sheet headed this way. South Pole current sheet depicted in red, North Pole current sheet depicted in green. We'll have to see what happens with those eastern sunspots. I'm suspecting that the ones that are rising in the southern hemisphere are going to degrade, or perhaps the ones in the northern hemisphere will grow. That's the forecast based on seeing this data. Keep in mind it was already 1 hour and 31 minutes old when we streamed the video. Next, our line of sight field plot depicting the solar B field in blue, north solar polar field in green, south solar polar field in red, also the solar magnetogram there. It's a quite active sun. It looks precisely nothing like a grand solar minimum. You'd have to have many, many days with no sunspots. That's not what we see. Next, moving to coronal holes. There's our coronal hole line of sight plot. We've got some South Pole oriented ones rotating in here as we cited yesterday. Let's take a look at that from SDO. Some new South Pole oriented coronal holes here. They'll get more defined in the coming days here. Keep in mind the solar corona is very bumpy. So these are South Pole. These are North Pole. These are actually South Pole. Another indication that the solar polar field reversal process, the main portion of the solar cycle, has a long way to go. Do you have a long way to go before you achieve some savings and some great results with respect to your health? Well, check our links in the description. There are multiple description links associated with your health. We'll talk about some of those here in a moment. Save 40% store-wide, first of all, by clicking our link. You'll find the link to our Hemp Lucid shop below the video. Whether you want to use mushroom gummies for focus, for sleep, or for stress, I can personally cite that the focus gummies do indeed work. We were sent a sample of those. Once again, check out our link and save 40% site-wide. Shocking savings there. The most popular is the water-soluble CBD tincture. less filling, tastes great. Shop by solution. Visit our links to support the channel that way and support your own health. Press like, subscribe, share, etc. Leave a comment. Tell your friends and foes about us. We don't believe YouTube promotes us, so we need you, the viewer, to do so. If you are a high view influencer type channel, drop us a line. We'll be more than happy to appear on your channel and vice versa. Shout out to all of our pals who we've made on YouTube over the years. You'll also find links to our Smasho merch shop below the video. Check that out. If you click the red bubble shop, you'll find our products in order of best selling, where there's recently been a little bit of a shakeup. Now Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera being the top seller. Today's featured product is Being Worn by Me. It's Universum Liberate. So, I mean, here you go. Join the Galactic Federation Special Forces, or just support the Galactic Federation Special Forces with the great high-quality print design here. The motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces is Universum Liberate. Because optimally, entities ought to be free. So, of course, not all entities are free, are they? Lots are enslaved. And from a galactic perspective, some entities are not pleased about this. So those entities would prefer to see people free. And so I say to you, Universum Liberate, have you been noticing a bunch of tyranny, nonsense, fraud, disinformation, and the undermining of all of Earth's institutions? Well, the Galactic Federation Special Forces have. The symbolism depicts the Milky Way galaxy, signal strength, security, and integrity. Also, instantaneous galactic scale reach. And this little bright spot up here, what that means is, well, classified. Universum Liberate. Let's take a look at our sunspot situation. So this is what's going on with respect to sunspots. We will have a new named group in the southeast. It'll be known as 3177. It is decent sized. And according to the information here, it looks like we have a very high likelihood of these groups over here producing major solar flares, and I would tend to agree, once again, as solar flares are more likely to occur as sunspots set on the limb. Let us know in the comments if you think it's because they're anisotropic or if it's for some other reason. And if you think they're anisotropic, why do you think they're anisotropic? There is some valid physics to explain this. Let's take a look at sunspots in some more detail. Because science is a rabbit hole, and when you jump down a science rabbit hole, you often end up with answers to questions not asked, more questions, and often no answers to questions that were asked. There's SDO continuum plus 304 angstroms. Here's a little closer view. Great lively imagery here. Let's subtract 304 angstroms to just view the sunspots. And how about the last 24 hours in SDO magnetogram? And let's move to energetic particles and solar flares. Don't get them confused, folks. Coronal mass ejections are mostly protons. Solar flares are photons, the X-ray portion of photons. They're not detectable from the planet's surface. They're only detectable from space. And as far as energetic particles, we ain't got no relativistic particles. We haven't had a proton event in over a month, I believe. It's been a long, long time since we saw any relativistic particles show up again. The space between Earth and Sun is quite empty here at the moment. The GOES X-ray flux there showing a couple of M-class flares in the past couple of days, actually 3 of them in the past 2 days. Besides that, it's been pretty low levels of activity here, so not a whole lot of flaring. Once again, likelihood of major flares getting very high as these large groups approach the northwestern limb. So there's the past 24 hours in a great flare wavelength. That's SDO 94 angstroms. We've also got, but of course, SDO 131 angstroms. So there you have that. Ta-da! The three most likely spots to see major flares would be up here, in the northeast, as well as in the southeast. Those are the most significant groups. We'll look at a closer magnetic analysis of those here a little bit later in the video after our bonus segments. And thanks for leaving comments, the Batman, a.k.a. Bruce from Brazil. Bruce says, the end is near, the oldest grift. Believe me, it's the truth. Now, send me cash, because the end is near, and if you don't send me cash, then you may not survive the end. Oh, no, I'm spooked. Bruce is spooked in Brazil. We're spooked on both sides of the equators, folks. We are spooked. We are frightened. This is what's going on overhead in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. It's the sky. Yes, it's our in-the-sky star chart. This one is the all sky charts. If you want to create your own, put in your location, your zip code, your town, whatever. Create your own sky chart. It's a delight. Let's do a solar system forecast. It's a dark sky out there. Here's what's going on from the solar system perspective. Keep in mind this imagery is not to scale. Let's do a 1-week forecast for the final days of 2022. Here's where things will be on January 4th. We will have a gibbous waxing moon as we approach the January full moon, the first one of 2023. And let's take a look at some coronagraphs, as we do have some CMEs. And if you're wondering if they're earthly directed, well, the answer is, in short, no. So that's today. We showed yesterday. Let's show Stereo A as well as Soho Lasco C3 at Lagrange 1. You can see very dark here on the Earth side of the solar disk. Earth would be off in that direction. And you can see coronal holes there facing the Earth at the moment. Not a lot of filaments there out in Earth's direction. And the CMEs that we've been seeing are not on the Earth side of the sun. They are on the far side. There is one coming out of the south right now. Again, it does not appear to be earthly directed. And if you look at Soho Lasco C3, it indeed looks like it's headed off to the southwest. Let's take a look at some 24-hour videos of that. There's the past 24 in composite. SDO 304 angstroms plus Soho Lasco C2 and C3. We'll zoom out a little bit. Again, all of that ejecta is on the far side of the sun, folks. None of those CMEs are earthly directed. And even if they were, you still shouldn't be frightened, because even an event like the Carrington event is highly unlikely to destroy civilization. Yes, certain things would get destroyed. Most things wouldn't get destroyed. Emergency communications wouldn't shut down. And, large sections of the grid would probably remain intact. Large portions of grid would shut themselves down before they were damaged, because there is complex electronic circuitry to prevent induction overloads. You might have a power outage, and your transformer might not burn up. But in any case, no CMEs headed this way today. Now let's take a look at filaments next. We've got a lot less filaments than we had a week ago on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. I would say name that filament at this point. However, I'll just say join us over on Twitter, the criminal organization that misleads investors, censors your posts for no apparent reason, as all legal speech should be legal and it shouldn't be deboosted, deplatformed, shadow banned, etc. But it is anyway, as Elon has stated in public forum. Deboosting continues. It's pretty pathetic. So, but anyway, drop us a line over there. We've got 341 followers and 18.2 thousand tweets. Yes. Yes, the pathetic and putrid censorship continues. Meanwhile, a bunch of sycophants thank Elon for ending censorship, even though he's openly stated that censorship continues. Any fascism you can do, we can do better. We can do any fascism better than you. No, you can't. Yes, we can. No, you can't. Yes, I'll just buy Twitter and continue on with the pathetic censorship. So check it out. We got a crown prominence happening down here in the South Solar Polar region. And that is a sign of high levels of solar activity. That tends to happen when there's no coronal hole at the polar region, but there is a coronal hole at the polar region. So anyway, that's what's going on in the past couple of hours. We will stream that once again all day long today on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/smashomash. So tune into that for your solar imagery. Here's the last 24 in 193 angstroms plus 1600. That's ionized iron plus ionized carbon. And this brings us to our bonus features segment. If you're frightened of what's happening to satellites, oh no, so we've got some things for you to be spooked about. We've got some things for you to be spooked about indeed. It's satellite charging hazards. Are they being charged by Nibiru? Nope. Are they being charged by the galactic core? Nope. Are they being charged by a distant black hole in a different galaxy? Nope. Are they being charged by high electron flux? Nope. Satellites have clear sailing. There is no charging hazard showing up on the map. Electron flux here toying with high levels once again. We are expecting it to go back into warning levels today, I would say. There is the GOES electron flux for the past 3 days. The GOES 16 and 17, they measure the electron flux at the F layer from their geosynchronous orbits. And there is the forecast model. So we'll be close to warning levels today. No big deal there. I mean, it's pretty unremarkable. The green boxes are the forecast. The yellow diamonds are the observation. There is the 1 year graph of the relativistic electrons to put it in context. Let's take a look at the F layer, since that's where the GOES 16 and 17 make their measurements. That's located at 300 kilometers of altitude or so. This is the vibrational frequency of the F layer of the ionosphere. And I would just cite the fact that if jets of iron in the Earth's mantle are what generate Earth's magnetic field, then how is it that the South Atlantic anomaly has moved from the South Atlantic to the South American continent into the South Pacific? That last move, by the way, was made in a matter of maybe a couple of days, but the South Atlantic anomaly is now here instead of here. So yeah, does that show a hole in the geological theory that Earth's magnetic field is generated from jets of molten iron in Earth's mantle and outer core? Does that throw a wrench in that, or has all that iron just moved thousands of miles? Or is it something else? Let us know in the comments what you think. Anyway, here's the latest image. We'll switch to the anomalygram here, and we'll go back to that. Again, you can see very clearly right around the 30 south latitude line that there is clearly a big variation there in the ionosphere. That is the South Atlantic anomaly, no longer over the South American continent. I guess we got to change the name of that to the South Pacific anomaly. And if you have theories as to how Earth's magnetic field is generated, let us know in the comments about that, or drop us a line at smashomash.com/forum. There's a whole forum there about geophysics and so on. So if you've got theories, hypotheses, or wild conjecture, stop by over there. It's completely free. smashomash.com/forum. Let's let that play through one more time and then show the latest image. Huge low-frequency anomalies there showing up around that area, especially south of it, and some wild swings. This imagery shows the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And that movement of the ionosphere, the movement of the South Atlantic anomaly, is possibly the weirdest thing we've ever covered on the channel. Anyway, there's the latest image. That's 11:45 Universal Time ionogram, 11:45 Universal Time anomalygram. And let's blast through some more information here, like the total electron content. The total electron content depicts the electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. It's the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. It'll show you the most likely places for GPS errors, as those free electrons cause signal refraction. Anyway, that's what's going on. Things are a little bit more organized than they were a few days ago. We saw some very chaotic total electron contents. At the moment here, things looking a little bit more normal, more organized around the equator at noontime, where you'd expect to see the greatest GPS errors. That's our total electron content forecast map. Next, our latest intensity gram and latest solar magnetogram. Let's take a look at this new sunspot group first. There you go. It is I believe it is beta gamma class. I think there is some trailing North Pole umbra there. So we'll just say it's beta gamma class and call it a day. Let's take a look at these setting groups up here, how magnetically complex those might be. And they are quite magnetically complex. They're certainly beta gamma class. There are some beta gamma delta class regions there. And we'll look at this group as well. There are the fields. That is beta gamma delta class. So once again, likelihood of large flares quite high here. And let's move on to our meteorology segment, and we'll pause for station identification. This is the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, where we cite facts, we laugh at fraud, and we dispel nonsense on the regs. So what we're looking at here is sulfur dioxide. Yes, one of the many features of, that's carbon dioxide. One of the many great features of nullschool.net. If you're frightened of carbon dioxide, well, there you go. Let's see, where can we go to get low carbon dioxide levels? Well, how about New Zealand? Some low carbon dioxide levels there at New Zealand. Let's see, what can we get? Oh my God, it's all the way down to 407 parts per million there. It must be freezing cold there in New Zealand. Let us know in the comments if you are from New Zealand. And then, of course, over here in Eastern Australia, we've got a high level. Oh my God, 442 parts per million there. It must be burning up, folks, burning up. All right, let's stop with that nonsense and stop showing features of nullschool.net and switch to our wind maps. It's what we show on the regs. These are the jet streams of the eastern world. We've got an anticyclone here right over Hawaii, likely making for clear skies. That is an upper-level high-pressure system. As you can see, a clockwise rotation happening in the northern hemisphere. It's an anticyclone. Did you know Jupiter's red spot is an anticyclone? These are the surface winds of the east. Yes, Jupiter's red spot is not a storm in terms of earthly storms. It is a high-pressure system known as an anticyclone. They rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere on Earth and counterclockwise in the south. These are the surface winds of the western world. How about the jet streams? There are the jet streams of the west. Quite chaotic there around the equatorial region. Here are the jet streams of the central world. And don't forget the surface winds. Also, don't forget to support the channel with our links and support your health with a membership to the American Better Health Organization. If you have Medicare and you want me to check out your Medicare plan options, drop me a line. There's my marketing number right there on screen. Also, my email address shows up. If you're not a Medicare type and you're looking to improve your health with an association membership to the American Better Health Organization, you can sign up right through there. It's worth $20 a month just for the doctors by phone service. Who wants to go to a physical doctor? That's so 2019. Links below the video and on the homepage of that at smashomash.com. It's the official website of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Once again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. It's a ridiculous state of affairs when it comes to big tech, pathetic, and putrid censorship. And in 2019, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit. We promptly escaped a maximum social media stockade, a maximum security social media stockade of the internet underground, where we survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash team. The best value is the gold annual paid-up subscription level. It does include complimentary merch. Let's take a look at what's going on in terms of clouds and fog over the Americas. So this is our 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation satellite as it flies over the croissant-shaped Earth and interpolates that imagery onto a fake spherical template, courtesy of NASA and Adobe, because they're tricking you into thinking the Earth is spherical instead of croissant-shaped because reasons. Here's your weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county on weather.gov. We won't go over all that, but we'll scroll down to briefly show you the key. Speaking of keys, the Florida Keys have some cold weather likely showing up there, as we have some hard freeze warnings there in portions of Florida and Georgia. Weather.gov is the site. Here are some forecasts, and we've got some high temperature anomalies coming to the entire eastern portion of the country. That's your 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. Be some very hot temperatures coming to Illinois there. Temperatures of like 20 degrees Celsius above normal. Once again, it's a 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. Here is our accumulated positive snow depth change forecast based on the same model, the GFS 72-hour. Some heavy snows there coming to California in the next 3 days as the same areas continue to get kaplastered with snow on top of snow on top of some more snow. Also, most of Colorado expecting to get some additional snow there. In fact, most of the western portion of the country there expecting additional snowfall in the coming 3 days. Continuing on to our our windy.com map. This is the European forecast for new snow. So there's the snow accumulation expected for the next 12 hours. Some heavy snow there happening in Washington. For the next 24 hours, there's the accumulation. And there is the 3-day forecast that is based on the European model. And Mexico expecting to get some snow. Not exactly the most common thing there. It must be so hot that it's cold down in Mexico. Next, the last about 10 hours of lightning activity. Some strong activity here just north of the equator, down here in the central Pacific. Also some lightning there in the central Atlantic. Let's check our real-time lightning map to see what's going on at the moment. That is lightningmaps.org, by the way. If you hear thunder, check it out. Convince the natives that you're Zeus or something like that by forecasting thunder. Maybe appear to be a villain in a horror movie. That could be fun. You can do it with lightningmaps.org. All right, and let's close things out with Doppler, clouds and fog, and water vapor. So there's U.S. Doppler. Some precipitation mopping up there in Alaska, it looks like. There's what's going on in the lower 48. Here is clouds and fog over the lower 48. And here is water vapor. And that means it is time to close things out with a recap. U.S. Doppler radar showing vertical motion of water droplets. 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite showing clouds and fog. It's still dark over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, and there is water vapor showing all of the water vapor, not just that which is condensed onto clouds, but all of it. A little bit of high pressure zone there moving into the southeast. So there's a high pressure zone, as dry air is more massive than moist air, and that is where we will close things out. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. Facts that are stated in this video are not necessarily suppressed by pathetic criminal organizations like Google, Facebook, Apple, and Twitter, and not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.